You guys had Grant Williams ranked way higher than where he actually went. What made you fall in love with Grant Williams? Because obviously I will get into it a little bit shortly after you. But you guys had him ranked like, what, 7th or 8th right after Brandon Clark?
Yeah, we had him 7, so we were really high on him, and I think why is you saw in Summer League. He's just a really good basketball player. He doesn't fit the prototype measurements, 6'7" and a half, 6'10" wingspan. He doesn't have great height, doesn't have great vertical pop as far as off the floor quickly, but the guy just really gets the game. He's one of the smartest prospects, I think, to come into the draft in the last decade. If you hear him talk, this guy is a future president of the United States. Like, dead serious. Like, this guy is incredibly cerebral, and you see that manifest on the floor, too. So I think the pushback with him, a lot of it was the shooting, because he didn't take a lot of threes at Tennessee. But you look at his touch, it's really good. Like, every year in college, his free throw percentage increased. We see the touch on floaters. He can shoot over the top of guys. His difficult shot making is really underrated as far as his release point. I think most of all, though, it's about the passing offensively. Like, he can really see the floor. If you put him in a short roll situation with a Kemba, with a Carson Edwards like we saw in Summer League, he can really make decisions at a high level. So you just put the overall IQ package together, team defense, and this is a guy who, in my opinion, was easily one of the 10 best basketball players in this class.
It's funny. When you get drafted in the top 10, you always have some elite skill, right? Like Zion, Zion has elite explosiveness, elite athleticism. He has a really good head on his shoulders in terms of IQ. Like, I love the people that think that Zion's just like a big dunker. Obviously, have never watched him play. Like, the way he sees the floor, especially in transition, is like magical for me, especially a guy that size. You look on the list. John Morant. You go to R.J. Barrett. Blah 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 blah. With Grant's elite skill, because I agree with you, he should have gone a lot higher. Grant has elite skill, and you mentioned it's his brain. Grant has, and it's one of the things that if you're like me, like I didn't watch a ton of college basketball this year. Like, I screwed up, I messed up. I will fully admit that. I didn't watch a ton of Grant Williams this year. And if you watch Grant Williams highlights, you really don't get what Grant Williams really is. You get, like, you look at him, you're like, oh, this guy's just like a hard worker, and he gets rebounds, and he finishes through traffic, and he's got a nice free throw stroke. Like, okay, I get that. You actually have to watch. Like, I was trying to explain to guys that got at me in my mentions about this. They were like, oh, why are you all over Grant Williams? Why is Grant, like, I do the Summer League power rankings for the Celtics, and I'm like, Grant Williams 1, Carson Edwards 2, Robert Williams 3, Taco 4, like Tremont 4, Taco 5, whatever. Blah, 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 blah. Like, why do you have Grant 1? He's averaging 8.5 points a game. Like, you don't watch the game then. Because when you look at what he does, just on the defensive side of the ball, like, forget about the offense for a second. Look at the defensive side of the ball, and you shadow him, right? You only watch him on the floor. You'll get such an appreciation for where he is at all times on the floor. He knows exactly where to be. Like, there were several moments, and I think the first one we got was in that Philly game where he literally, like, truck sticked a guy in the middle of the floor like a free safety, and my face blew. I had the biggest smile on my face. I was like, wow, this guy really just has a great idea of, like, where the ball is going to go, where the action's going to go, what's happening here, what's happening over there. His IQ is off the charts. He communicates really well with his teammates. I mean, you talked about the fact that he speaks well is another big thing, but the fact that he can tell people where to be and be the kind of a quarterback of a defense is huge.